Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach.
When we get older, starting around the age of 30, we start to see a decrease in the muscle mass that we're able to maintain. Now, this loss of what would be considered hypertrophy, which is just a fancy scientific term for gaining muscle mass, has a really big impact on how you're able to actually go through and do your day-to-day activities. So whether you're 30 or 70, today's video is extremely important for you to listen to.
Okay, now, here's the thing. When you're 30, the regeneration begins. But you see points in your life, I know my own experience, but at age 50, I was still a panther. And then all of a sudden, 57, there was a drop. Things weakened. At 67, I was doing wind sprints. At 70, couldn't do that anymore. Okay, and you find out that it's much harder to build muscle mass. And then when you get from 67 to 70, it's much harder to maintain muscle mass. Okay, so what do people do? They go crazy and they say, oh, I need to be in hypertrophy and not in atrophy. And then they overdo it and then the injuries start coming. Yeah. So what we're going to do with our brother, Coach Menachem, we want to help people, no matter what their age, maintain their muscle mass, hypertrophy, without injury. That's the important thing.
Yeah, and the without injury part is so absolutely instrumental. A lot of people miss that, especially nowadays. Everything is intensity, and you're mentioning wind sprints at 50, at 62, and I'm thinking, I don't know anybody that's doing wind sprints. There's a saying that I think applies to everybody. Really, it's people in their 50s is where I learned it from. I had 2 clients, and that is, don't be afraid of the day when you go to the gym and you're not feeling well in your 50s or older, but be afraid on the day you do feel good, because then you do too much. And while that's a good intent, a lot of it is actually based around our job in here, as you know, as a health coach yourself, is we want to do the least amount of work that we need to see a result. So for many of us, Monday and Thursday is a fantastic balance for us to be able to go to the gym, get a little bit tired, get a little bit sore, but during the rest of the week, while we're not lifting, we're doing walking or bicycling. It doesn't have to be intense all the time.
Yeah, and there's 2 entities that want to leave outside the gym. Okay, one overachieving. Overachieving is ego.
Yes.
And the second is the evil inclination, because that's where it comes from. The evil inclination wants you sad, and when you're working out properly, you've got these wonderful endorphins that you can't get them at the pharmacy and not the doctor. It's a present from above. Okay, the feel-good hormones that you get from working out, that's what you want. But you can't get that by killing yourself in the gym. We don't want to do that. We want to do it responsibly and healthy. So you come out of the gym with a smile on your face, because if you don't go out of the gym with a smile on your face, you've done something wrong.
Well, on the other side, I find, at least for me, for some days, that coming to the gym, and also my clients, a lot of cyclists, especially going to the gym, they say, I don't really feel good. So I say, give it the first 15 minutes in your dynamic warm-up. If by then, and these are light exercises that address the major issues, so we're getting at least that done. If you don't feel good after 15 minutes, you can go home. And 9 times out of 10, people say, well, I was feeling better, so I'll do one more, and I'll do one more. And that's where you build the consistency, and in balance, the gym can be an absolutely instrumental in your ability to maintain better moods. It's not just going to the gym and but we all have that also, right? You come in and you see the guy who's been lifting with you and he's a couple years younger and he's lifting 30 more kilos than you and you're doing, it's hard, right?
He's got a different soul than you do. He's got a different body than you do. Just as your souls are different and your thumbprints are different, so your bodies are different. So he does what's good, different strokes for different folks. You got to work out what's good for you.
So let's look at a couple different push-up variations that you guys can do no matter where you are. Now, the most important thing is at no point during these exercises do we want to cause pain, numbness, tingling, loss of sensation, anything like that, or you're unsure. It's best to go to your family doctor, get the okay first. Maybe we start with walking as opposed to the push-up variations. So don't feel like, at home you have to do these because we showed them. We're just giving you one of many tools. There's all different types of wrenches and all that stuff. We're just giving you one example here.
Yeah, and even if you're a mom and you're expecting and you've got 5 other youngins, we're going to teach you how to pick up your baby properly so you don't get back pain. And the push-ups, the beginning push-ups, it's even good for that mom.
Yes, up until the 3rd trimester. If you haven't worked out in the 3rd trimester, that's not the time to start without the guidance of a physician. So part of my training is as postpartum corrective exercise. That includes before. The main thing here is less is more. So
just want to mention, Menachem is not just a trainer, he's a sports physiologist. This is like a PhD trainer. This is much higher. So listen carefully what he says about exercise in the body.
Yeah, it's all about finding balance. So if anything here you're unsure about, talk to your family physician. But we're going to show you some should be safe for about 80% of you, 85%, different push-up variations. So let's be honest. It was the weekend, right? We have Shabbat. We're sitting around, or we're just hanging out. One of the first things we like to do is plop down on the sofa. We're going to show you how to use the back of the sofa for a push-up variation if you haven't been able to do push-ups before. So the bar here for Lazer is going to be the back of the sofa. Now the most important thing as he's setting up is we want to have the hands just a little bit wider than the shoulders. You'll notice from there his ears, shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles are all in a straight line in a plank position. Now from here, he's going to slowly lower his chest down to the barbell or the back of the sofa, keeping around a 45-degree angle into his elbows, and then push himself away while keeping the hips, shoulders, and knees in a straight line. Now he just did a more advanced variation because he went very slow. So believe it or not, slower is harder. So if we do, let's go 1 second down, 1 second up. There we go. And as he goes through here, he should be feeling his midsection working just a little bit. He should be able to fire his glutes just a little bit. And if this is too difficult for him with the feet together, a simple adaptation is to take the feet a little bit wider. And now he has a more stable base of support. And he can go through here. We'll do sets of 2 more. Now, one of the things we want to be careful of as he's doing here is the elbows are coming up. So we want to try and make sure we're thinking about bending the bar and keeping the elbows closer to 45 degrees. When the elbows come up and flare, that can impinge or close down the front of the shoulder. So we really want to make sure as we go through that we're keeping great technique. An exercise done with great technique is going to be far better for you than doing reps with poor technique and just getting as many as possible. Now, if you found this too easy, let's go ahead and take a look at what a modified push-up would look like on the floor. Okay, now for the modified push-up, what's really important for this, a lot of people call them girl push-ups. I hate that. I can't stand it because it's not nice. It's putting a slang term. All we're doing is we're shortening the lever arm that you have to move, which means it's just like taking some weight off of the bar.
It's physics, the fulcrum, shortening the fulcrum.
Exactly. It's basic. So this is where I started with push-ups, and they weren't as pretty as what we're about to see, but the same principles are going to remain. So the hands are a little bit wider than shoulder width and just below the shoulders. The ears, shoulders, hips, and knees are in a straight line. Now from here, it's the exact same thing as we just saw. Elbows to about 45 degrees. You're going to try and come down about 2 inches off the ground. So if you have a tennis ball at home, you can put a tennis ball on the ground and then pushing back up. Now as you push back up, you want to think about screwing the tops off of jars, if you will, and that's going to activate the lats. Let's see if we can do 2 or 3 repetitions in a row. And you'll notice he's keeping fantastic technique, ears, shoulders, hips, and knees all locked together and moving in unison. Now,
an important thing is breathing. I bring Pilates that I do a inhale on the way, exhale on the up.
Yes.
Very important to breathe.
And that, believe it or not, that ties into so many other things in the body. I think, for today's video, we'll kind of stick with the push-up, but it is exactly true. It also helps you get a little bit more muscle force. So let's say these are getting pretty easy for you. You're able to do 3 sets of 10 with great technique. Now a set of 10 is, Rabbi just did here, I think that was 8, I counted, 8 or 9. So Lazer did 9 in a row, so that would be a set of 9. So it's just as many repetitions as you can without a break. Now from here, when you can do 3 sets of 10 with about a 2-minute rest in between sets, getting up and doing something else, we're going to move to the next one. And this would be the classic push-up. So we'll take a look at that here as well. It's the exact same setup. Now we're going to be on the toes. So we'll be nice and straight-legged.
Hand width, because the closer together, more difficult.
Yes.
Farther away.
So triangle push-up about here would be more triceps and much more challenging. And then neutral would be right around shoulder width.
We'll do a neutral push-up.
Let's do neutral, yeah,
Okay.
to start with. So again, if we want to make this more challenging, we can take the feet closer together or further apart. Now same here, ear, shoulder, hip, knee, and ankle in a straight line, and he's going to press all the way down 2 inches away from the ground and back up. Now, one of the things I want to point out here is this is the result of a lifelong pursuit of staying in shape, or it could be the last 5 years. The most important thing for you is to find what works for you and not try and go outside of your range. Now, let's say this is getting a little bit challenging. Now, Lazer can stop here, or he can take his feet further apart. Let's just take the feet further apart. I'll look at that. Let's take the feet. Let's
Take
go
a breath.
feet wide.
Take a breath. Did 10. And now we want to go to our challenge.
We're gonna go easier for 2 with the feet wider, and then we're gonna show what some of the more challenging would be.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Wider push-up.
Yes. So the wider push-up is going to put more into the chest. You'll notice he also took his feet wider to give him a more stable point of support. And this is really important as he's going through. You notice that he's self-regulated, which is fantastic. At no point should me or any other trainer or person tell you, keep going, keep going, keep going. When you feel you've gotten to a 7 out of 10, especially when you're starting, usually this set's going to be over, unless you are working with somebody or you're going through a very specific variation where you need to build up. So he's doing a great job in through the nose, out through the mouth, and now he's going to take a second to calm down and relax. Now, as he goes through here, he can continue the breathing, shaking out the arms. There are some people that say you should sit down between sets. I prefer that, just like you're doing, stand up, move around. But if we do something you feel dizzy, lightheaded, definitely take a seat and relax. Let's show a more challenging variation, whatever you like. We can do fingertips, we can do triangle. We'll do just a set of 4. Knuckles is fine as well.
What martial arts guys love to do.
Now, why is that? Why do they like doing the knuckles?
First of all, it strengthens the hand. It strengthens the muscle. Just like women, when they knead dough, it prevents osteoporosis. And one of the big problems of martial arts guys is breaking fingers. Putting this pressure increases, it actually did research, it increases bone density in the fingers and the joints. That's why they like to do that.
Very nice.
Okay, so.
All right, let's try that. We'll go for a set of 3 to 5. Now, this is a very challenging exercise. In all honesty, I could probably do maybe 2 of these. But again, this is where you advance and you develop what's going to be right for you. There we go. And you'll notice he didn't break form at all. So all in all, we're at 50 push-ups. Sorry, 43 for the day, plus those. So yeah, 53. I mean, that's a good workout for most people. That's a full workout. Now, here's the thing is as you go through aging, it's more about the consistency than it is about going in and hammering yourself. So a rule my friend Tony Gentlecore likes to say is that 70% of your workouts are going to be meh, average. I got my workout in.
Menachem, explain why this is so much more expensive, more useful than the macho guys coming in the gym and doing their 50 push-ups with doing the 10 sets of 5 sets of 10 each. Why it's so much more useful.
So that ties into what Tony talks about with the training consistency and how you'll be. So 70% of your workouts are going to be meh, then 10% will be amazing, and then 10% will be awful. You feel like trash. Sorry, 80, 10, 10. 70, 10, and 10 is 90. The other 10% we don't know. The reason this is so important is in order for you to get up to the abilities to recover and adapt. So nowadays there's a lot of talk about recovery. It's not recovering from your workout, you need to adapt. When we do body weight exercises, calisthenics, we're using the mass that you already have and we're not any external weight. This does 2 things. 1, it speeds up the recovery and adaptation time. It mostly decreases the risk of injury. Now, of course, if you do something with bad technique, that can hurt you. But it makes it so that you can do the exercises anywhere. And the thing a lot of people have in their minds is that in order to be strong, you need to be able to move heavy weight. And that really depends. It depends. Olympic weightlifters, powerlifters, absolutely, that's your sport. For people like you and me, I'm a cyclist, I've gone a little bit more weightlifting, but I just need to be able to move myself well enough. And for most of you at home also, carrying groceries upstairs, that's another workout. You don't need external weight in an unnatural shape.
Exactly. Imagine, even what Menachem just said, we'll mention, imagine that these are 6 packs of May-Aden. So I'm walking home from the street, this weigh about 6 packs. How much we have here? Okay, 6 packs of May-Aden, deadlift, pick them up, walk home from the store. This is functional fitness. Okay.
And a lot of people don't realize a liter of water weighs about 1 kilo. So the May-Aden, for those who don't know, is a brand of water that are sold in 2 kilos. So actually the pack of water is a little bit heavier than that. It'd be 12 kilos. But this is where we get the daily activities that will allow you, and you don't have to head into a gym necessarily.
Just summarizing, if we can do 15 minutes a day of these type of sets, is that not for a 50, 60, 70-year-old more than enough to ward off atrophy?
Yes, so if you haven't been active in doing these types of things, absolutely. And that goes for runners. If you've been running and you can run a half marathon a week, that your body still needs the strength training. In order to fend it off, we have to challenge the body a little bit more than what it can handle, but not so much. Again, just enough. We want just enough, nothing more than that.
And don't forget, moms at home, this is for you too.
Yes, especially women. In fact, when we look at how women go through the menstrual cycle, the first half, you may find that you're able to push, and then the second half, you might feel a little bit slower. You just have to taper down and listen to your body, and that's where RPE, rate perceived exertion, comes in. So an RPE of 7 is where we want to go, which is medium plus. I feel like I'm doing a little bit of work. I could probably do another set, but I elect not to.
Terrific. Let's share a little secret. What's our next vid about? Brody meets Brody.
We're going to talk about movement and lower back pain and daily strategies for better spine hygiene.
Good. Look forward to seeing you.
See you guys.